For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Politics, politics, politics. Enough, enough, enough. How many people are saying that nowadays? I think there's quite a few. And so as a Canadian, I'm often asked my thoughts on American politics and also the Canadian relationship with Americans, given what's happening in the world. And that's what we're talking about on The Scribble, and it starts right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
JB here, back on The Scribble. One of the things that people ask me a lot, because they know that I'm Canadian and I live and do business in the United States, is what my thoughts are on this whole relationship between the two countries, the tariffs, Trump wanting Canada to be the 51st state, Canada's, new prime minister that wasn't elected by the people, but was sort of, given the title after Justin Trudeau. So there's just a shit ton of questions that people ask or wonder about politics. And my thing is that I've never been big into politics. I've never had an interest in it. I've never belonged to a party. I've never donated to a party. I've never campaigned. I've never had a sign on my front lawn ever. So I don't, again, I think that this is also a different mentality between the two countries. Like, I know that, actually, I'm trying to think, I don't know any of my family members that put a yard sign during an election. I'm trying to think. I'm picturing everybody's houses and when we've gone and had get-togethers. Well, one of my cousins, because his best friend is a city councilor. So, I mean, that's an exception, I guess. But other than that, like, I don't know who my relatives vote for. I don't know if anybody belongs to a party. I remember as a kid, my mom, I went with her one time to vote, right? And you don't even really know what it is. I just knew, okay, she's going to the community center at the end of our street. It's voting day. Okay, so whatever. I mean, I was old enough to at least know that we had a mayor, a prime minister, whatever it is. But whatever. And so I remember asking her for whom she voted. And she would never, she almost kind of got mad at me for asking that. Because, as she said, that's something that's private. You don't talk about who you vote for. You just vote. That's why you go behind that little... In Canada, you go behind like a little cardboard kind of a thing, and it's secret, it's private, you cast your vote, and you go, right? And that's how it kind of really still is for a lot of Canadians. Again, I'm trying to think even just of like my friends and colleagues and coworkers and staff. I'm just sitting here going, I've never asked who people vote for. I don't know. It's never come up. So then when you parallel that with my friends and colleagues in the United States, or even just things that you see on American news, Canadians look at that and go, wow, that's really intense for how people are when it comes to politics. It's just not the same. I don't know if my brothers voted liberal or conservative or green or anything. I don't know. And quite honestly, well, I mean, if it was something that concerned me or was an issue, I would ask them, right? I mean, whatever. But we, like Canadians, not just we as in my family, but we as in Canadians, I don't know any family members or any families because this is something that we laugh at when it comes to, Thanksgiving or Christmas, is that you hear Americans will have these, like shouting matches, or that so-and-so's not invited. I saw that discussed on The View, I think a couple months ago, about who was invited for Christmas and who wasn't because of their politics. And I sit there and go, wow, I don't know any Canadians that do that. I talk to a lot of people. I know a lot of people in Canada. I've never heard of somebody saying that to me. We talk all the time about, what you did for your holidays, who's coming over, what are you doing, what's going on. I've never heard anybody say, well, my uncle, whoever, or my cousin voted for Trudeau and, well, he's not coming over this year. He's not. I've never heard that. Ever. And even, so let me just take you to one of our family get-togethers. Maybe you'll have depending on what's happening in the world. So let's say I don't know, Trump did something really stupid. And again, we're Canadians. So, Trump did something stupid. Maybe that comes up because it all of a sudden shows up on TV and people are laughing and discussing it. But never is there a heated political, how can you like that guy? How can you, get out of my house? Never. So when we hear stories like that, so that conversation on The View, when we hear those types of things, we look at that and go, is that for real? Are people really, that's really a thing, that people are so into their politics? Now, it could also be, admittedly, there are some very divisive happening, whether that's, women's rights or the gay rights or the trans rights or the immigration concerns or policies that are, forever changing. So I can understand that, but, I don't know. It's just, it's very strange to, I realize that I'm speaking on behalf of Canadians, but I challenge any American who's listening to this to ask a Canadian. Probably they feel the same way. So it's fascinating to us as outsiders to kind of, look at that and go, it's really bizarre. Now, on the flip side of that, when you think about politics, I mean, especially in today's world where people in general are very much have the attitude of, I'm going to do what I want. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. We saw great resistance during the pandemic about, governments telling you can do this, you can't do this, you must do this. Right? You can't shop. You can't do that. Your kids can't go to school. You can't do this. You can't fly. You can't do this. But you must inject this into your body. You must have this shot if you want to do that. Right? That's probably in recent times, we've seen people be so against government telling you what you can and can't do and what you must do. I don't appreciate it. So, it's fascinating to me with that mindset that you have these people who then are, now I'm going to give the example of Trump supporters. I had never, by the way, until the other day, heard of Trump derangement syndrome. I did not even know what that meant. So I was watching cable, I can't remember which show it was or which network it was, but somebody had said Trump derangement. So TDS is what they said. And then they explained what that was, the long form was. I'd never heard that. So I was like, Trump deranged, that's just very odd. And so then they start explaining what it means. And they showed a bunch of clips of the Trump supporters, the elected officials who are Trump supporters, basically kissing his ass and praising him. And he's the best president ever. And and I'm sitting here going, that's really weird, right? Because if any other person on the street tells you, do this, don't do this, you'd be like, yeah, fuck off. I'll make the decisions. Thank you. So for a politician to have that much power over people, that's unheard of, right? At the beginning of Trudeau's prime ministerial run or life, he was respected. He was viewed, favorably. But as the years went on, obviously public opinion changed. I think that maybe if the pandemic happened right at the very beginning of his term or his time as prime minister, maybe people would have taken his word as the gospel because there was trust or whatever. So it's fascinating to me where we're in I'll do what I please, don't tell me what to do sort of society. And you have these people who will just bow down because this person has said so. Buy this Tesla because Tesla because I love it. It's great. Buy this Bible, buy this shoe, right? Didn't he do shoes at some point as well? And people just do it. It's just like, you think that's a cult, isn't it? My understanding, the definition of a cult is basically that, where you have this one person who's in charge and dictates exactly what happens, and you just do it because he's the leader and he says so. Maybe it's a dictatorship, I guess, as well. But I mean, that's not a free-thinking society where, it's like, do you have a mind for yourself? Like, do you think for yourself? Are you capable of doing that? Or are you just because this person tells you to do it? I don't know. So it's a weird sort of parallel because you have, as I said, this society where you're not going to tell me what to do. I'll do as I please. I'll choose. It's my body, my choice, my life, my this, my kids, my whatever. But then, and I'm not saying it's everybody. I know that there's people who don't. But it's, I sit there and go, wow, here's this person who just says, do this because I said so. He's a politician because he said so. Do it. And people do it. I don't know. It's weird to me. It's weird. Let me again recap, but I'm not attacking Trump supporters. I'm not mocking them. I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying it's an observation for me to look at that and go, wow, okay. That's all I'm saying. I don't have the Trump TDS because his initials are Donald Trump, right? I keep thinking you always hear his name abbreviated, right? As DJ or D or Donald Trump Jr. or something. Okay, never mind. I'm screwing that up. Maybe I'm now. You get my point. I made my point in the first 8 minutes of this segment, all right? So anyway, when it comes to politics and, people ask me my thoughts or whatever, I have no role in it in terms of campaigning, in terms of fundraising, in terms of, getting on my soapbox and telling people how to, even when I was hosting our top 40 music show, like our syndicated radio shows, and we had, during the pandemic or even during elections, the local stations would often send a note to producers or even just directly to me and want me to encourage people to get the vaccine or to get out and vote. And I would never do that just because, I think I did once or twice because of voting, which is more just sort of a general kind of thing. But even that is like, this is an entertainment show. It's top 40 music. It's celebrity news. It's gossip. Me all of a sudden going and saying, go out and vote for your president, Americans, was awkward. You know that it's voting day. You can choose to vote if you want to. If you do, great. If not, fine. But it's not my place to remind you that it's voting day. I've never had such a high opinion of myself that I'm sitting here going, okay, you know what? I'm Jeremy Bradley. People are going to get the vaccine because I tell them to. No, I'm not a doctor. I haven't done the medical research on whatever vaccine is available in your area. So for me to tell you to go and get the vaccine, no, I don't do that. That's not my thing. It's not my thing. Look it up, find out what it is, call your politician, call your elected official and find out. But to have me tell people to get the vaccine, no. That's all I need, right? Is somebody to all of a sudden then die from it and a family member's, calling up our legal team going, Jeremy said to get the vaccine and it fucking killed my aunt. So, no, I just, it's your decision, do what you want. If you want to vote, fine. My dad does not vote. And that's whatever. I remember kind of razzing him in my early 20s when I was starting to vote and, I would go and, well, Dad, you complain about everything. It's just, and eventually you just kind of stop and go, whatever. It's his choice. If he doesn't want to participate, fine. I don't know. But never has it come up at a family get-together where I'm, whipping mashed potatoes at his head because he didn't vote or he voted for somebody. That's just not, it's not how our family runs. So the rivalry between the two countries of, Canadians booing the American anthem or Canadians not visiting the United States for vacation or the campaign to, buy Canadian. I mean, I guess it's sort of brought together Canadians and made them feel united in the sense of we've got to stick together to not be bullied by our neighbor to the south. So I understand that. I mean, I've always kind of felt, I think the Canadians have always kind of felt too. Like when I was growing up, you always felt like the United States was just this big country that if you really wanted to be successful, that's where you had to go. That, especially for me, wanting to be a journalist or wanting to be on the radio, it was always like, go to the New York Times. It was never somebody goes, are you going to work for the Toronto Star? Are you going to work for the Vancouver Sun? No, it was always New York Times, LA Times. That's where, those were the ideals. And same thing with the entertainment business, right? If you want to make it big in music, you go to the States. You get a contract, record deal, you tour the big cities, and that's what it was. So as Canadians, we were always sort of made to feel like opportunity knocked in the United States. And if that's, if you wanted to make it big, then you'd go there. But for me, I always kind of felt like I support Canadians first. I'm not saying that I've never bought American products, and I've never even really checked to this point if what I'm buying was made in Canada or the United States. It was on a store shelf. I liked it. I wanted it. I bought it. I mean, that's kind of how I shopped. Am I looking at things now? No. I mean, I've always looked at prices. I've always, for a bottle of salad dressing, I'm not paying $7. I don't care if it was made in Canada. I don't care if the American one is cheaper and I like it and I want it, then I'm going to buy it. I'm just that type of person. Do I have a lot of money? I have a lot of money, but I wrote a column about it in the newspaper years ago that I'll support local if it means shopping reasonably priced. Like, you can try to guilt me into shopping Canadian, but at the end of the day, if it's still cheaper to buy something that I like, and just because it was made in the States, then I'm still going to buy that one. Yeah, I don't know. That's just how I am. Call me, anti-Canadian, call me American, call me, not patriotic, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, let's talk about people who don't have the financial resources that I do. I mean, you would do the same thing. Right? I mean, if you're crunched for money and you're, every penny counts and you're watching where you spend, you are going to buy the $3 salad dressing that was made in the United States versus the $7 one that was made in Canada. You just are. You just are. Whether that's out of principle, whether that's out of financial, concerns, you're just going to do that. So for me, I can take it or leave it. I can go to the store if the product that I want. I mean, let me be clear. If I really, 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 really want something, I will pay the price for it, but generally I do not. So if I'm craving, whatever, not bacon. If I'm craving like a certain type of product, and I go to the store, let's say bacon then, and I go to the store, and each package is above $8, I'm not. I don't care how much I want it. Because I know, this is where I'm old enough to remember a couple years ago, it was like $3 or $4 for the package. So just out of protest is why I don't buy it. And that's my prerogative as a consumer, right? We shop with our pocketbooks, our wallet, well, that's an old phrase, hey? Our pocketbook? I shop with my pocketbook? Yeah, okay. But that's, it's not hurting me to not buy the bacon. It doesn't hurt me at all. So you can jack up your price. This, I guess, then goes back to that whole inflation thing or greedflation and, the big grocery stores are the bad guys. That's another discussion altogether. But I mean, then I'll go and say, that's fine, I'll walk right by. And, what's interesting now is when you do go to the store, and I did see this just the other day, you walk through the meat section or the produce or the dairy section or whatever it is. I love a good discount sticker. I love a good clearance sticker. When something is marked down, in Canada, they have, one of the chains has these pink stickers that say, reduced for quick sale or something. But it's like a pink triangle kind of a thing, and it's got 50% off. I love going to that store and looking for those. I end up sort of making a game out of it. How much money can I save? I will, I'll get that yogurt because it's 50% off. I'll get that sour cream. I'll get that romaine lettuce because it's, 50% off. I'll buy that chicken because the best before date is in 2 days. Absolutely, I'll do that. So what I love seeing is the stores that are doing that, because to me, what it's telling me, well, it's telling me a couple of things. One, first of all, your price is too much, so people aren't buying it, and you're having to mark it down. You would think that would be enough to tell them, hey, maybe we should mark down the price because we're constantly reducing the chicken because it's going bad and nobody's buying it. Secondly, when I still see dozens or lots of packages of the marked down chicken and people aren't buying it, that tells me it is still overpriced, right? Because if the price is the concern for people and they're now being price conscious and they're looking at things and they're saying even at 50% off, nah, still not doing it. Wow, that's saying something about your prices. right? So let me give you an example. So let's say the package of chicken is $20. It's gone down to $10 with 50%, and people are still not buying it at $10 because it used to be $7.50. Then that's telling to me. That's telling. So I know that I used to go to Walmart. I used to get 5 chicken breasts for $10. They had this packaged up one. I used to get 2 of them, so I'd get 10 chicken breasts for $20. Now when I go there, it's 4 chicken breasts for $12. Then next week, it's going to be marked down. You're going to get 3 of them for $12. So I look at that and say, no, thank you. I know that I used to be able to get more for less. I'm not buying it. So then when you go to Walmart the next day and you look at them and you see they're all marked down, so you get 3 of them now for $6 or, whatever they've marked it down to. I mean, maybe I do buy that then. But when you're marking it up and you're giving me less for even more now, no. You heard about that on the news before about like the cartons of juice or milk or whatever it is. It's not, they've reduced the volume in Canada. Let's say it's not 1 liter anymore. It's now 960 mils or 900 mils instead of 1 liter. But it's costing more or it's the same price. I mean, I look at that and go, yeah, not getting it. Sorry, not doing it. Nope. So, this is, it's one of those things where people are free to do what they want with their money. And so if you're buying it at that expensive price, well, you're sending the message to the store that, yes, people are willing to pay it. But on the flip side, when we see the store reacting by having to mark down things 50%, like I seriously did. I went through the fresh, or not the fresh, but like the refrigerated meat aisle, and it was just like pink stickers on the chicken breasts as far as the eye can see. So, you look at that and go, I mean, that's saying something. I'd be embarrassed if that was my store. I'd be embarrassed that I have this much product that I have to mark down because people aren't buying it. Even just for visual, right? Just for reputational sake, just for the point of people are going to start taking pictures and go, look we've had to mark down our entire fucking section because nobody's buying it. Just the visuals alone. Visuals alone would be embarrassing to me. Maybe I'll mark things down $1 or $2 because, how are you? That's being out of touch or it's being greedy. You decide. But I would, if this is constantly happening, there is one store that I go to where I just know that there's going to be stuff marked down because it's overpriced. I enjoy that. That would be embarrassing to me though for my customers to see me having to constantly mark down stuff because people aren't buying it. Yeah, but run your business your own way, and to the consumer, spend your money your own way. There you go. Okay, so this started out to be a discussion about politics based by me addressing people wanting to know my thoughts on politics. And I guess at the same time, right? I mean, your president, Donald Trump, had said that he's going to start lowering grocery prices on day one. So I guess that segue did blend over into politics by talking about grocery prices. Send me an email. Tell me your thoughts. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. So they're telling me I'm going to do a break. We got a couple minutes of break because I've talked for 20 minutes straight, and I'll be back on the Scribble right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here on The Scribble in our final remaining minutes. Just since we're talking about politics, I just, during the break, was thinking about how I had a conversation back on our Top 40 show. We had celebrity guests all the time, and one week we had Rosemary Barton, and Rosie is a Canadian journalist from my hometown of Winnipeg. She was getting her own weekend, like Sunday political show on a news network in Canada. And so we had great conversation. She's really nice. And so one of the things that I asked her during the segment was, do you ever just get sick of politics? Like, can you just take a break and not worry about what Justin Trudeau was the prime minister at the time? Can you just, and she said that, no, I love it. I said, do you ever get sick of just discussing it? And she said, no, that's what I love. It's what I do. And I remember thinking after, going, you know what? Well, Gordon Ramsay loves cooking, but there's got to be, even he is kind of like, I don't want to cook tonight. I'm sick of cooking. That's his identity, is food, right? So I would sit there and go, it must be so annoying. That's great that he's famous for it. But at some point, you got to kind of be like, I got to take a break away from food. But I mean, how can you break away from food? We kind of need it every day. But so for politics, though, so for this, national news anchor to basically just go and say, no, I love politics. I'm never sick of talking about it. I thought, wow, that's dedication. So that's somebody who has it as not only a hobby, but as a profession, and more power to her if that's how she feels. I mean, I don't know. I was a professionally trained writer. I was a journalist, and I was a newspaper columnist. I wrote a best-selling book. I was all about writing. I was just writing all the time. That's what I would do on my weekends. When I was on a plane going somewhere, I had 3 hours to kill. I was writing something. And eventually, though, you're kind of like, you know what? I'm done. So when I went through a stretch where I didn't write anything at all, because I was also an editor at a publishing company for many years, so I have what's called an editor's eye. I can't shut that off. So when I walk through a store and I'm looking at signage, or when I'm, seeing a billboard, or just even reading a news story online, typos, improper capitalization, punctuation, all that kind of stuff jumps out at me. I can't unsee it. I can't stop editing. And depending on what it is, this is absolutely true. Bonnie, our executive producer, who is not where she should be right now, but I was just looking over there, she can tell you, I take screenshots of typos and will send them to her and to our team, because we're all trained writers. We've all been in this business for a really long time. And so I get a kick out of it. So it's funny to me. But yes, even I will sit there and go, I don't want to read anything today. I don't want to read or I'll dread reading something. Somebody will send me a link to, let's say it's whatever news outlet that I just know has typos galore. TMZ is the worst for it lately. Or 2Fab, I guess, is also sort of the younger TMZ, the hip version of TMZ, pop culture TMZ. I can't stand reading their shit because it's just typos everywhere. So for me, as a trained writer, I can avoid reading at all costs. I don't mind doing that at all. I really don't. So for politics, I mean, for these people who are hosts on cable news, or for commentators, or they are writers for whatever commentary, or the political pages of whatever newspaper, take the holiday, take some time away from it. But I guess in this situation right now, where you have Trump doing what he's doing every day, I mean, I can understand that it's fascinating that you wouldn't want to break away for a day, just because what am I going to miss, right? we see that on the late night shows when Colbert or Seth Meyers or Jon Stewart. Well, sorry, Jimmy Kimmel, I guess, would be one who, if Trump does something, if they're off for a week, they come back. I could just imagine, and I think Colbert has even said that during your week off, you're just sitting there going, "Oh my God, I can't believe that happened on Monday, and I can't talk about it for a week on my show." But whatever. Anyway, so feel free to give me a shout. It's always awesome hearing from you. The email address is live, L-I-V-E, at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye for now, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some